My name is Shalita September. I'm with ARC Vancouver Anti-Racism Coalition. I'm a 27-year-old mixed race. I am Filipino and South African, born and raised in Vancouver. Anti-Racism Coalition was founded a few weeks ago by me and my family and a few other like-minded people.
My name is Kamika Williams. I'm chairperson for ARC Vancouver. It's a grassroots movement that was started by like-minded individuals who are putting our boots on the ground in the Vancouver area.
This is important for me. As growing up in Vancouver, I really noticed how segregated Vancouver is and having a lack of support in the Black community in Vancouver and in Burnaby.
I was born and raised in Victoria. It's a very small community, predominantly white. I experienced a lot of racism growing up, so that's part of the reason why I have a passion for fighting injustice and racism and help to start ARC Vancouver.
The solutions we have, running future fundraisers and educationals and standing in solidarity with our violence towards Indigenous people.
It's definitely a space where you can connect, communicate with people who have gone through similar experiences. For someone like myself, where Victoria was predominantly white, a lot of my friends, a lot of people in my social network didn't understand where I was coming from and couldn't connect with my experiences. So that's definitely what we can bring to individuals like myself.
Having lots of networks for counseling for Black and Indigenous youth that needs to be something we need to focus on right now. It's something that I felt like I was lacking as a kid, and I need that to be heard.
We're actually partnering with other local organizations. We're holding educational information sessions. So we come to protests and events and hand out information for the next session. We're actually planning on strategies for implementing programs in schools. And we're also working on a list of demands to send to City Council and other government entities. For example, for the Black community specifically, we're seeing a resurgence in people wanting to rebuild Hogan's Alley, but for us that's not enough. We want to see the contract awarded to Black developers. We want to see 80 to 90% of Black businesses in Hogan's Alley and Black residents. So it's not just about we're going to build this. We want to see meaningful steps towards to assist with the Black Indigenous communities. Cancel Canada Day, it's recognizing that this country was built on stolen lands and it was cultivated by stolen people. So it's about recognizing that this is a colonial nation that was built on genocide, and people need to recognize that.
The problem that we have can't be swept under the rug any longer, and it needs to be heard, and Indigenous bodies are still to this day in so much danger, and we need to do something about that.
For whatever reasons, North Americans feel a connection to the Holocaust, but they feel so far removed from genocide, which has happened on their own lands, in their own country, and that's something that we want to bring awareness to, and we're hoping that more people can get on board with recognizing what's happened to the Indigenous communities in Canada.
You can find us on Instagram at arc.vancouver, and you can look us up on Facebook as well, so if you wanted to get involved in any way, shape, or form, there's no minimum or maximum.
No justice. Our energy here is amazing. I want to thank you all for being here. My name is Shalita September. I'm here to represent Anti-Racism Coalition. I would like to give my acknowledgements to the land on which we gather. Thank you, Coast Salish, Tsleil-Waututh, Squamish nations. Hunkaminam speaking peoples. Hunkaminam, repeat after me, Hunkaminam. We are here to have our voices heard, that this country is built on genocide, and it is no longer going to be hidden. No justice. No peace. And if you don't know justice, then you don't know peace. We all want to do something about the injustices and racism inflicted upon people of color, specifically violence upon Indigenous and Blacks in this country. The solidarity between Indigenous and Black people on Turtle Island is so important. These two peoples are not immigrants. The Indigenous have existed here for thousands of years prior, and Africans being forcefully brought here for the wealth and benefit of colonial invaders, for capitalism. There is erasure of history and kinship between Black peoples and Indigenous peoples that is so important. There are many stories where Black peoples were integrated into Indigenous communities after escaping slavery. Acknowledging the relationship between these peoples of oppression is of fundamental importance in any intellectual or political movement geared towards racial justice. For the Black community that is growing in Vancouver, for the people of color, all the organizations growing, it is crucial to rekindle the bond with Indigenous relations, with our Indigenous relations. We are on their land. It is important to build communities where we can hold functions, educational ceremonies, where we can not only have space for Indigenous peoples to relearn, practice their culture and traditions, but to also teach our communities how to decolonize and how to indigenize themselves and spaces. Where there are meetings in the future, I encourage Indigenous bodies present as much as possible. We need them. We need their education. We need their experience. Education is key. We need to push to ensure that the truth about colonial history is taught, but just as importantly, pre-colonial history. Indigenizing schooling and ensuring that Indigenous, Black, colored teachers are the ones who are running those educationals. No justice. If we reach out, we will find connections to people who work in these educational departments so that we can actually make change from the inside. We know teachers, we know people in government, we know people working in the police departments. We need to start doing our job and making those connections. Next, justice. No justice. Defund. It doesn't really make sense to reform a system that is built to oppress people of color. Therefore, dismantling completely is the ideal. But that product is a long ways away, but there are changes that we can make now. We need changes now. To abolish the system is what we want. But what can we do right now? We must stay organized. People in power will not listen to demands without solutions. How do we fix this? Reallocating police funding and putting it towards education, social services, mental health services. We need to reallocate the money. We can't just throw the money into other services because those systems are also racist. And as of right now, to reallocate the money without fully understanding how those systems work is dangerous as well. So we need to stay organized. They're also the ones abusing families and taking their children away from their parents. So that system needs to be changed as well. Defund. When I see people disagreeing with this, I believe they're taking it the wrong way. They have questions like, what will we do without police? Who protects us? We protect us. It's a valid question, but there are ways to protect communities that people aren't familiar with. We as human beings have successfully existed on this earth before the policing system. And when we look at the history and foundations of why police was created, it is clearly inhumane and cruel and it needs to change. Even the name criminal justice system doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense. It's not a criminal justice system, it's a criminal system. No justice. From my brief research, we have examples like peacekeeping systems, like in Quanland and in Whitehorse. They've trained Indigenous people who live in these communities. They're trained in mental health, public safety, social services, education, community service, crime prevention, justice, everything. And those systems are underfunded. So every Indigenous organization we have is underfunded. We need to change that. Also, I've read that crime rates in the previous years from these programs have dropped tremendously, but we also need to look closely and carefully and understand the statistics and how they consider crime rate. So they may call it crime rate when it's actually a poverty problem. It's a socio-economic problem. It's not criminal. It's not a criminal problem. So systems like these need to be integrated into the city of Vancouver and all over Canada, or we should at least consider these different systems and how they will be implemented. So allies, we must use our allies that work in these departments and push for change. How many people know here in government and education and policing systems? We know someone of somebody. So we need to have conversations with them, we need to connect with them, and we need to work from the inside. We need to stay organized from the inside. The protest happens today, but it's every single day. It's ongoing, every day. Pass on the connections, get involved. This will also be proof that we are all connected and that we can make changes as long as we understand the systems properly. So let's keep going after today. We must protest every day. And you can join us. Please support Dakota, I Don't Know More. Please support all your Indigenous nations and all the people that are here to protect you. They are the people that live, they're living proof of what respect is, and they deserve respect now. We need to stand with them. And I am here, I'm born and raised on this beautiful land, and I'm half Filipino. So Filipino for BLM, Filipino for Indigenous Lives Matter. I'm also South African, BLM, South Africa for Indigenous lives. We're all together. We need to put the differences down. We're all together. There's one main focus. So, let's fist up. No justice.
No peace.
Defund.
No police.
And also, if you guys want to get involved, please support Dakota. And furthermore, we're also ARC Vancouver. So on Instagram, arc.vancouver, we're doing our best to stay organized, and we're going to be running more events, more educational, so we can learn about the land that we live on and the history of people, of our people. Thank you.